Hi there, this is Brendan for R&B Reviews doing a solo review of My Bloody Valentine 3D. First off, we need more movies in 3D. This flick was just awesome. The 3D technology works completely and effectively. I was a little bit on the fence about it. This was a movie I was not interested in seeing at all. I mean, I went into this movie with low expectations. The only reason I went was a group of friends were going. I sort of latched on with them, and I saw and enjoyed the flick very much. I think I was almost the one in the group who enjoyed it the most. But again, like I said, I went into this film with low expectations. The previews didn't wow me. It's another horror remake. I hate horror remakes. They're just awful and useless, and we don't need them. The bottom line is we don't need them. No one does. And this film almost makes them seem useful. I don't know. With this 3D technology, I'm almost thinking every horror remake should be done in 3D. Just because with this 3D technology it completely immersed you in the film even more so. And I think with horror movies, immersing your audience in the movie even more so is a great thing to do. To the plot of this movie, it's your pretty much basic slasher movie plot. You have a deranged killer, he hacks some people up, you follow a few main characters, the movie goes into the future 7 years and you see the killer has re-emerged after being gone for so many years and having been assumed dead, you know. And these new killings start up and everyone's got to figure out who the killer is. I don't want to go into the plot too much because, frankly, it's a pretty simple plot and it's interesting enough for you to follow. A lot of, I want to say, slasher movie plots really don't keep you that interesting and really make the kills and the death scenes be front row instead of the plot. It felt like they worked on the plot enough so that they can keep the audience interested. And they cast the movie with just a great cast of people who could make the characters plausible and believable enough to, when they were in danger, you were worried for them. And that was this movie's biggest credit, I think, was it generally had a likable cast, a interesting enough plot, so it had me right there. But what really grasped me in this movie was its violence was over the top and just completely extreme. I couldn't believe just how insane this movie was with its violence. It was just wild. I was sitting there laughing so much at how over the top some of these death scenes were. I mean, it was just really, it sort of reminded me of like a Final Destination movie. I mean, it was just, the death scenes were just ridiculous and wild, and the killer was just very foreboding and just pure evil, just a bad guy. And every time you saw him on screen, he was scary enough to make you sort of like, if I was there, I would want to run and go the other direction, because this guy was... The killer had a good screen presence, and he was evil enough that, you know, you generally feared for the characters and what was going to happen to them, because this guy, he would just... Not to give away any of the kills, because I think if you're going to see this movie, some of the most inventive death scenes we've seen in a while. And for a remake, I think you should definitely mix things up like that. I mean, the original My Bloody Valentine, I don't really care for that much. I saw it like one night on IFC or something like that, and I didn't really care for it that much. Maybe I gotta go back and rewatch it, but I didn't care for it. And a lot of horror remakes, I feel like, where it seems like at least half of the films playing in theaters, usually at any given time, are usually like remakes or something. And that kind of pisses me off, because I think the audience deserves to watch the original and see what was so good about it to warrant a remake. But this one, its death scenes completely, I want to say, amp up the energy level and just how twisted this movie is. I mean, there's violence from like the first minute to the last. It just takes you all the way. And one of the things that I noticed was its kills were inventive. With the Halloween remake, they weren't. It was just Michael Myers going around stabbing people. He did that throughout the entire film series. So the remake kind of felt a little useless. They weren't really doing too much new with the character. And, well, too much, I want to say, too much true to the character, because they did do a lot of new things in the Halloween remake. But this isn't a review for that movie. It's a review for My Bloody Valentine, which just, I want to say, just as far as remakes go, a lot of directors should look at this film as far as, you know, what they should do right. Because I like the Dawn of the Dead remake, the Hills Have Eyes remake, and this one. Those are probably my top 3 horror remakes in the past few years. And this one just is, it's really in your face, it's really bloody, it's really just hack 'em slash 'em fun in 3D. I mean, the 3 dimension, and really puts you in the situation with the characters because it feels like you could really see into the screen. My only complaint about the movie was at the end of, I want to say maybe this was an hour and a half, 2-hour movie, I don't really remember, but these glasses kind of give you a bit of a headache after a while when you're staring at the screen for that long. So maybe they should put some sort of warning or hand out a leave or something with it, because I ran for the Tylenol when I got home because, I don't know, it just seems like you can't stare at it too long, that, and some shots are in close-up and you tend to stare at, it's just like some stuff is out of focus. I kind of wish the cinematography was better because the 3D technology was great. And back to the casting. I knew nothing about this movie before having gone to see it. I just knew it was in 3D, it was a remake of My Bloody Valentine. That was it. To my surprise, Tom Atkins, who was in Night of the Creeps, Escape from New York, The Fog, movies like that, he was in this film, and he gets a good enough role to do where I was just so glad to see a movie with him again in it, because I love Night of the Creeps, and Escape from New York is one of my favorite movies of all time, and The Fog is just a fantastic John Carpenter movie. And he shines in all those flicks, and Night of the Creeps, he does just so, he's just wonderful in it, and if you haven't seen Night of the Creeps, it's definitely worth going to find it. It's just a great flick, and seeing Tom Atkins in this movie it made the movie so much more enjoyable for me. I mean, they gave his character enough to do where he had enough screen time and whatnot. Really, really fun to see him again. I was just like, as soon as I saw him on screen, I wanted to yell, Tom Atkins, but of course everyone around me would be like, what the hell are you talking about? But that's fine. It sort of reminded me of seeing Michael Biehn in Grindhouse, seeing him in Planet Terror, because I hadn't seen him in a few years, then he sort of comes back and he does a role he's done many times before, and he's just great in it. And that's what Tom Atkins did here. Tom Atkins was just great. Every shot, every scene he's in, he pretty much steals. I mean, he was fantastic with it. And, I think horror fans who recognize him will notice he just gets a terrific. He just has one of the best scenes in this movie, and I think you'll know it when you see it. And this film has plenty of homages in there, so horror fans, will be able to pick up on quite a few. I mean, one I can remember right off the top of my head was a homage to Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2. And if you're a horror fan, go see this flick. I think you'll enjoy it a lot. I mean, the 3D technology is fantastic. I'm really glad this film utilizes it. This is the first film I saw in 3D, and I'll definitely go and see more if they keep doing horror movies like this. If you're not a horror fan and Blood and Guts turns you off, maybe this isn't the movie for you. But if you don't have a problem with all that, then I think you'll have a great time at this flick. Bring some friends. It's a good time. It's well worth the $12, $13 admission price that I had to pay. And it only costs extra for these glasses. And it's completely worth it because this film is just a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Brendan for R&B Reviews, and until next time.
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.